Hey guys, this is Volen in Pursuit of Art. In this video, I want to take you through a year of progress. I want to take you through a year of studying art on my own and trying my best to learn and just change weird stuff that I've been doing into better, more productive stuff. I got this image up for you to see a before and after. Hopefully it's easy to see which one the after is. And when I say before and after, I don't mean that the stuff on the left was actually supposed to look like the stuff on the right. So it wasn't just apples in a head and it was supposed to be, the dogs. Because actually, just looking at it now, it is 4 apples and 4 dogs. Anyway, maybe it is a before and after like that. Anyway, what I did want to show you in this video, though, is where I started, all the things I struggled with, and really just the process of improving. Just so you can recognize it in your own work as you're getting better. I spent loads of time looking at other people's stuff and seeing if they struggled with all the same things, if they made all the same mistakes I made, and the answer is pretty much yes. So I want to show you what those mistakes are going to look like, most likely for you too, so you can just know you're most likely on the right track if you just keep practicing. So trying to find a way to just guide you through a year and just looking back on it, the biggest thing I found for myself is that my biggest problem is that there's just no process. So when I show you my early works now, I'm going to point this out too, is I could solve simple problems, but I had no idea of how to tackle bigger ones. So if it's something that's just one element in a picture, I could most likely do it. If it's many different things all in the same frame, very detailed things as well, that would just sort of baffle me because I didn't have enough control over the process, and there was no process. And process comes from research, experience, and trial and error. So basically, to develop a process, you need to do research, whether that's visual research or whatever that is, experience, just trying it over and over and over and getting some mileage in there so you can build that research into your brain. And that's where experience is just building things into your brain, coming from both research and trial and error. And once you have these down, that feeds into the process again. And you continue to do more research, gain more experience, and make more mistakes so that all that stuff feeds right into your brain and your process gets developed. And so thinking more about this process stuff, I came to find out that my biggest struggle over the last year, my first year of studying art, was illusion versus reality. What I think something should be done as and what it's actually done like. So it's theory versus practice, to just simplify it a bit. So for those of you that don't know anything about what I do, this is my work, my best work at 22. And I got even better that same year, which I'm really proud of. So basically, I just started one day last year. So I'm going to guide you through all of last year, which is when I decided I'm going to learn. I don't know why, still. I thought I'm going to do it, just because it seemed impossible. So since this was pretty much the quality of my work, it seemed like art is the last thing that I'd ever be able to do. So I decided, alright then, let's bring it on, and let's see if I can do this. So last year, this is the progress I went through. So just trying to work out values, develop some sort of process, really struggling with the idea of what does it take to finish a painting. Just what are the things that you need to do to ensure success, whatever that is. And then this is done in about November. So these are January, February, somewhere around there. This is November. So not even a whole year. But during that space of time, I managed to develop at least some sort of process, which I still to this day sort of struggle with, forget, rediscover, redo. It's never just done and that's it for that. Like you just know it, you're never going to struggle with that. It's always a struggle, but it does get easier, and basically you struggle with bigger problems is what happens as you get better. So I'm going to try and walk you through this last year without making a mammoth video, and apologies if I do. So this is starting January. So January, and prior to that, just to touch upon that theory versus practice topic that we started, this is what I did in January. So all of January I spent in theory. I'm very comfortable with theory. That's how I've studied everything, you know, ever since school through university and stuff. I've just had to read stuff and then just tell someone about it. I never had to demonstrate anything, so I could just read anything and just tell the guy, yeah, that's what you should do if you're like a good guy, and then they'd have to say, oh, that's very good, and then they just give you your A or your diploma or whatever. But none of that was practical. So being familiar with theory only, this is how I spent my January. So January, I was trying to develop my process, basically. So thinking in terms of perspective comes first, right? The geometry, so then you can shade and build light on top of that, materials and surfaces and everything. And I was correct in a way, but I was not right in how I was doing it. So this is January, just doing very rigid perspective studies. So this is like a room that was built from a floor plan. This is 3-point perspective, more crazy weirdness, and even more, this is like a super calculated staircase where you could measure everything out and everything's perfectly 90 degree squares and whatever. But then that stuff turned out to be completely impractical. You can't use any of this stuff when you're doing a painting. And I got my epiphany when I just posted something online on a forum, and I was asking, how do you find your distance from an object when you just have a photo? Because you could be using a telephoto lens, or you could be whatever, so you could be 100 meters away or 10 meters away. How can you find your measuring point? Blah, blah, blah. And someone just said, dude, you're never going to use that. So then I looked at his portfolio, and I saw that he had done great work, and I looked at mine, and I didn't have any at that time. So I said, all right, this guy might be right. So I switched from just exclusively doing theory to practicing all the time, not really doing almost any theory. So that was all of January, is just the rigid perspective stuff. And then I started doing studies. So what I talked about before, being able to solve a simple problem, this is what I mean. So something like this, I could copy. Okay-ish. So I could copy stuff that's simple. So just one object, no background, no nothing. And then there's my first problem. I still remember doing this last January. And you can see I don't pay any attention to edges or just any other more, let's say, complicated or just more advanced level concepts. I'm not really paying attention to those at this time in January. And mind you, again, I just want to show you, the beginning of this year is my beginning of learning to draw. All right, so this is not just in the middle of a few years of practice I just decided to show you this year. No, this is the year when I'm just learning to practice, learning about values, basic stuff. Never touched color before, so really struggling loads with just everything. So from really basic fundamentals to not really understanding how line drawings fit into the process, not having a process, not having anyone to show me how to do it, not having anyone to ask for critiques or stuff. It's all, you can even see up till the end, I'm still just doing values and stuff, still refining the process. So this whole year is just really my first year of learning how to draw on my own. So this is my first big problem. And my first big problem is just getting things, just copying correctly, just understanding what it takes to be able to paint a picture. You know, how does your picture look like what you're seeing? That was really my biggest problem. And even when you get better, that problem remains. It's just then it translates into the more powerful, how can I translate this, or how can I simplify something, or how can I change something, but then still convey the idea that it is that thing that I'm trying to represent. So first problem here is I was sort of happy with the oranges all over, but when I got to the point of like the fine detail and stuff, I just had no idea how you're supposed to do that. Are you supposed to just paint everything in? Is there like a magic brush or something? Or what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to spend like 50 hours on it? And even then, I didn't even get the idea of the 50 hours of work into my head. All the videos I had seen up to that point were just like pros, being really fast, really efficient, doing great work. And then all of my experience was the complete opposite of that. I'd be very slow, very clumsy, and all my work would suck. So this is really the best I could do at that time, and I'm just looking at my time now, and we're 10 minutes in already, and I think we're gonna have to cut this video here and just continue on in the next one and just split it up. So I'll see you in the next video, guys.